Alright. What's up guys, it's Barbell Outdoors, and today I'm going to be installing a YakAttack Switchblade transducer mount on my Nucanoe Unlimited. So, let's get right into it. So, the reason I'm going to be installing this transducer arm on here is for one simple fact, and one simple fact only. I love fishing rivers, and the Nucanoe Unlimited does not have hull access, does not have internal hull access. So I'll just show you right now how I have my transducer actually set up at the moment. So I'll show you in a second. Nucanoe actually has this recessed transducer mount for scupper mounts, and there's a Nucanoe, retraction thing for side imaging transducers that sticks down. And I'll get down and show you guys if I can, but that's how my transducer looks right now. And although I do appreciate Nucanoe taking the trouble to put a recessed transducer mount without their custom transducer retraction system, I cannot go over riffles comfortably and not worry about destroying my transducer. So with that being the case, I decided to bite the bullet and go with a YakAttack Switchblade transducer arm. So let's go over what we got in the package. Got a mounting bracket. I believe that's for the connector to the arm itself, and mounting hardware, as well as the, I think this is called the lock and load ready YakAttack mount. That's what actually goes on your gear track. And then we have the instructions. So first thing I got to do is disassemble my transducer off the setup I have it on, and then get it hooked up on this. So I'll get back with you guys once that's disassembled. So I'm going to actually be taking apart this Lowrance scupper transducer mount on camera just to show you guys how it works. I do like it. It does work in the strictest sense of the term, but it definitely has some issues. Once it's in, it's basically non-adjustable, which is a major issue. If you see how my transducer was hanging kind of loose there through my scupper hole, and I essentially have no recourse once it's already in the Lowrance scupper hole mount, except to pull on the transducer cable, which is not something that, A, I believe even works, or B, is advisable. So I have this transducer wire run through a YakAttack through-hole wiring system into my gear pod. The good news is I'm going to keep that setup. I'm going to keep the transducer wire going into my gear pod. The bad news is I'm going to have to take it off to get the transducer out. So I'm going to get the cable out and disconnect it from the fish finder, do all that, and then I'll pull it out through the scupper hole and get started. Okay, so now we officially have our transducer cut away from the Lowrance transducer mount. So now all I have is my transducer and this big long cable. So now the question becomes, where am I going to mount my Switchblade? I guess we'll find out. But my plan at the moment is I'm thinking right here, as close as I can get to this through hole mount, where it'll be out of the way of me paddling, but still close enough that I can flip it over should need be. We're going to see if that'll actually work here in a second. So let's see step-by-step instructions. Okay, well, I'm not doing the cell block mount, so that doesn't apply to me. Deck mount. Use the 2 holes in the... blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I guess that would be this here. It's going to go like that. And this is going to, gotta love those drop-in tracks. It'll work. There we go. I guess that's going to go like that, I think. No, that is not going to work where I want it. That might just work. That's probably not going to work. Okay. Now that will work better. That will work much better for my purposes. Okay. So we'll go there and then we'll just run pad eyes up through that way. Alright. I guess that's what I'm going with. So what I'm going to have to do here is place these lock nuts actually inside the frame of the mount in order to tighten the clamp down. Good news is they hold pretty well as far as I can see. Yeah, those aren't going to come out. And that's what it's going to look like right there. Oops. Okay, what size is going to fit these screws? Oh. That's a little too big. A little too big. There we go, that one will work. Alright, let's get these screwed in. Then just tighten these down. Make sure you have it in the position you want before you tighten these all the way down, because if you want to change that position, these are going to be locked in place and you're not going to be able to change the angle that you have it screwed on without taking these screws out. Okay, so now that we have this attached in there, you can see it's not really gonna bend. I mean, I can tighten it down a little bit more, but that clamp is really tight with those lock nuts, and it is not going to twist once it's in there. You're gonna be able to maintain a consistent angle of that arm with those lock nuts wrenched all the way down. it just clamps so tight it's really not going to turn, and that's kind of what you want, because the last thing you want is it to start shifting when you are out on the water, especially if it's back here behind my seat and I can't get to it quick enough. There. So that's good there. Now what we want to do is tighten this arm we want to tighten that arm there. Okay, so these all have little lock nuts and Allen screws in here to tighten them up as well. So with me tightening this, it just means it's going to be that much harder for it to bend at that joint, which is what I want. I don't want it to bend at that joint, because that's going to disrupt the stability of my transducer. So the tighter I can get it, the better. Now that it's set up like this, this is what it's essentially going to look like when it's out on the water, and when I go to a shallow area that I don't think I'm going to be able to clear or something, you know, transport, I can flip this arm up because that arm is still mobile. This one is not. Alright. Okay, so you have this little arm, and then you have another lock nut, and you want to take the smallest screw, or the biggest screw that will fit into your transducer hole, and then you want to insert it through the opening of your transducer, and then tighten that down with the lock nut. At least I think that's how this is going to go. Alright, that transducer is now locked into place on this little arm, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this arm, throw a screw through that, and add another lock nut on the underside of it, right there. And then let's find the right Allen wrench and get that one in. You want to make sure these are tight. You want to make sure these are real tight, because you do not want them adjusting themselves while you're out on the water. Alright, there we go, and that's that. So now, obviously, with the trailer tire here, you're not going to be able to see it the way I want it, but on the water it'll be down like that next to the kayak, and then once I want to switch it, get in shallow transporting, just flip it over like that, and you're good to go. Should probably still tighten that one up just a little bit. And now we're on to the next step. Okay, next step. I got all this big long transducer cable, and gotta do something with it. So that's why they give you these zip ties. So there's another reason they give you these zip ties, is because you have to secure this section of it. Because this, basically, there's a natural clamp here, the way that these are made, but you basically have to cinch it down with zip ties in order to make sure it stays put where you want it. Now that is a lot more steady, just like that. So that's basically what it's going to look like when it's all done. But now, after I've done that, cut the tag, and move on to the cable. So for this cable, you just want to take advantage of these little slots they provide you with the Switchblade and zip tie the cable as tightly as you can onto the Switchblade itself. So that cable, you know, transducer cables are long and they can be kind of cumbersome in a kayak especially, so you know, the more you can cinch it down and prevent it from being in the way of stuff, the better off you're going to be. So now we have our transducer mounted the way we want it, but what to do about this very long piece of cable? Well, that's where I'm speculating here. This is all an idea that I had, but I got these YakAttack pad eye kit, and what I plan on doing is taking this transducer and running it down the length of my kayak, like so, like that, and then just running it up to my gear pod. So let's get started on that. You know, I'll be the first to tell you guys, it never gets any easier drilling holes in your floating little plastic boat. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Alright, so that works. Alright, got all the pad eyes installed. The transducer cable runs there, to there, to there, and then that is going to go through the through-hole wiring kit into the gear pod. So let's get that through-hole kit done, and yeah, then we're almost finished. Your transducer. Okay, well, just to give you an overview of what we did today. Before I clean up out here, transducer arm back here, transducer wires connected to the arm, 2 pad eye cleats, goes all the way up the gunnel, into the gear pod, out into the fish finder. So hope this video was informative to you guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I gotta get ready for work, so I'll see you later. Please